Thank you, sir. We're back, hopefully. Yeah. So for the second demo, this will be, I call this Steve Jones inspired box. Now, obviously this one is slightly smaller than the blanks here, so we'll amp things up slightly. So this has sort of a ball-like shape with relatively small footprint. So this is later switched around, then removed the tenon and everything. And it has a relatively undercut rim. So we need to get that nice and cleanly done. Now again, luckily we won't get to sand, because whenever you're sanding anything that's heavily undercut, this portion is against the grain. So it's quite hard to get a nice clean cut. So you have to do your best to get the top half of the box base nice and clean. And then what I would like to do is grab one of my 50mm sanding pads, and I have a extension rod on it, so it goes in the drill. It's that bit long, and then I can nicely sand. And I never use 50mm sanding disc on a 50mm pad. I always use the bigger ones because they flop around slightly and they blend everything really, really nicely. So that's what you're going to see now. Now the lid, I have always, with this kind of shape, I always have the trouble getting the design down. And in Spain in February, I was doing similar kind of a box like here, and I messed up the lid. So I couldn't decide on the design. I was just changing on the fly. I wasn't happy. I ended up going too thin. Then I had to get another piece. They brought me a piece of olive wood, so I attached that on the top, and it was a whole mess. But it's something that you can see that sometimes we adapt on the fly, sometimes we change design, then we work around how to fix that if you've gone too far, for example. But this one, I think it turned out okay. So again, something similar we're going to make. Now first, the roughing out stage and getting our tenons done and everything. So back with the screw chuck that goes on the lathe. Again, I have a pad here, just a spacer. This is roughly, let's see, my fingernail is 10mm wide, small one. So this is roughly half an inch, 12mm wide, long screw. So I spaced that out. Now it's, I don't know, 9-8mm. Doesn't do much. So what I need, this is the lid, and everything is oversized. So again, we're going to scale this as best I can. What I want first is just make a tenon on this side. So this is the top of the lid, this is the inside of it. And I want to show you something kind of neat, how different kind of tool approach can give you different kind of results. And you're going to see that in the scraper. I think if everything goes well, it will be either a massive catch or a great success. And we'll see how that goes. So lid is in the chuck. So again, just screw it up. And I'll use ball gouge for that. Let's see, 1614 RPM. So back with the ball gouge. Slowly through the end, although it doesn't matter, there will be a lot of shaping down here. And again, on this side, all I want to do is just make a tenon. So, now I'm thinking about the chucks that I can use. Let's use the one from the Axminster, so that should hopefully fit. spindle gouge, and I'll just pull the tenon. Again, I don't dovetail it for this occasion. Maybe a tiny dovetail, but it's really small. So that's lid prepared. Really nice piece of timber. And I'm going to leave this. I just want to show you something real quick. And it can go around the club so you can see it. So the chuck goes back on. Yeah, that should fit. So, there we go. Just tighten that. Oops. Now, this is the inside of the lid, so just what I'm going to do is clean it up. Now back with the whole gouge. Remove the sharp corner, and I'm just going to hollow it out briefly. Like so. Now, the thing that I want to show you about tool presentation, and a few of the members were asking about when you shear scrape and flat scrape and how all of that involves or reacts with the timber. Everything is how you approach with the tool to the timber, at what angle, at what kind of a position and so on. So I think a lot of you would think that you can use a French curve scraper like this one here to do a shear cut on the inside of the bowl. And it's quite interesting, and finish, you'll see, should be really, really good one. Now, just for this, what I have here is a small bevel. It's around 50-ish degrees, give or take, and I do have a burr on it. So I'm going to actually remove that burr. So again, flat on the bedways, and I just remove that burr. Should be nice and sharp. You can see I have a tool on the angle, and I'm going to actually close it. Just raise it up a little bit, close it, and as I enter the timber, I'm going to open it up ever so slightly. The entry point is a little bit tricky. Now I open it up, and you should see the shavings are quite different. There we go. Just find the cut. I haven't reached the very bottom, so let's do that one more time. Nice and slow. Nice and slowly to center. Now the center is slightly off, but just to prove a point, that's pretty good. So I'll pass this around. I don't need the lid for this moment. Yeah, that's pretty good. So you can see this is straight from tool scraper used as a shear cutting tool. So everything is how you present that tool that you have to the timber. So you'll see that surface basically doesn't need sanding, doesn't need anything. So
the owner of 192 Kona, our grass out there where they mow the trees, we just like to keep on the right side of the neighbours that are around and they object to that kind of thing. So a 192 is long.
So we can continue on, I assume. So this is the base. Again, I'm going to fit it on the lathe as with a plate or platter. I'm slightly loose. So tighten it up. So that should be okay, but again, it's relatively bulky blank, and that blank I've noticed a few issues. There is a split here. Not sure if that's visible on the camera. It goes in not far off, but the bigger one is on the other side. Let me just find it real quick. There we go. So here, it's quite a massive one, but I think it doesn't go in very far. So around from here to here, and also there is in the same side, I've noticed another one on the top. So I've positioned the blank that way when I have the base here. The top split hopefully will be gone when I shape this. Maybe I'll have to change the design slightly. And the bottom one, the bigger one, hopefully will be gone in this profile here. Again, that's the idea. So let's see how that goes.
Thomas, what wood is that? Is that wood?
Ash.
Is that?
Olive ash, yeah. Now it will wobble quite a bit. So again, bring down the speed where it's nice and stable until you throw it up. It should bring a bit more speed. So 1169 RPM. Back with the ball gouge. I'll first eat shaving, but remove the corner here first. So I'm moving with my body, so my hip around. That noise is coming from uneven top. By removing the corner, you can already remove a lot of the wobbleness to the piece. Clean the top. Like so. Again, this is short tool, so it's not so much for these larger pieces, but for smaller ones, it works great. So now I drew up the diameter. And what I like to do is go slightly below any kind of blemishes that this blank have. So if you can see, basically where is the lowest bit? So here. So I have just down below any rough stuff, and that sort of makes the gouge gliding much smoother rather than going maybe 1 mil here, for example. And now you're actually resting on uneven surfaces. So if you're having a little bit of pressure inside the timber, it will sound like so. But here it's nice and smooth. And I'll just clean up the top real quick. So I close the flute to around 9 o'clock, 3 o'clock. So 12, this will be 3. I have the handle relatively levelish, so I'm actually using the right wing of the gouge as a sort of a scraper-like action. And now let's see, once I have the clear surface, what's happening with the split. So this one, I can't see it too much from this side, but it does go slightly longer here. So I'll start shaping and hopefully everything will be gone. Now, I'll be using this chuck to make a 10. This is Wickmark. And I'll just change the jaws to my shark jaws. These are the smallest shark jaws from Wickmark. And I just much more prefer sharp jaws rather than the standard ones. I have the standard ones for bigger diameter, so over 4 inches or 100 mil and above I have standard ones, and everything below that has these sharp jaws, really useful stuff. So now that the blank is roughly cleaned up, maybe a bit more speed, 1500 RPM. Let's see when I do a push cut how it behaves. So the timber will always tell you what's happening and if you're doing something wrong or you have to change maybe something. So I hear a lot of vibration, so just for the shaping, I'll bring in the tailstock. Just because I can be a little bit more aggressive and a little bit faster. So just get the shavings. So here is the cone. And just bring that in a little bit. So it should allow me to be a bit more aggressive now. A little bit. So I'm just taking off the bulk of the timber. Again, this is a small tool, you can see it, but I'm taking off roughly 12 mil of material at the time, as I don't have a long wings, I don't fancy them. This one is slightly more of a fingernail profile rather than asymmetric grind, but asymmetric grind will be quite useful here for shaping this slightly faster, let's say. But I prefer for this small ball gouge to have this kind of a fingernail profile with extremely small bevel, so it gives a really nice clean cut and doesn't have too much of a bevel contact with the timber. Stop here. Now I'll start shaping the tenon. So somewhere around there should be okay. So that's just a rough tenon. And stop, you hear a tone change, you stop at that tone and you go from the top. Although again in this scenario it's not that crucial because I still have to shape the top of it. So is there any questions while I remove this? So I have to remove the tailstock now to get a nice clean cut on the outside. So usually you can spike yourself into a cone here, so it's a good practice to remove it. Now, for the cut here, I'm actually going to sharpen the gouge now. And the way I do this, most of the time I will do it by holding the tool in my hand like this. So this is the platform, let's say. I will hold it like this, and then I would push it up the wheel and do whatever I need to do. For this one, I like to use a platform. It's quite repeatable, let's say. And again, it's set roughly to 50 degrees, give or take, so it doesn't have to be exact. I'll just touch the nose real quick, and it will tell me where I am in terms of the bevel. So this will be slightly lower. A bit more, there we go, and just keep sharp on it. And that's good. Nice and sharp.
Is that a small bevel that you got on that and just a very
Yeah,
short?
hopefully the camera can pick it up. So it's really maybe 1.5 to 2 mil long. I can even shorten that a little bit more if it's necessary, if I see any lines developing, if I'm making a really tight curve and the timber doesn't like to be scraped, then I would maybe have 0.5 mil of a bevel, you know, just a tiny bit that gives me control in a really tight radius where a scraper doesn't maybe wants to work properly. So now I'll position the tool rest and let's make a nice shear cut. Nice and slowly. I took the wrong stance, so I didn't have any room to move. So I will have to stop the cut. That's pretty good. And just continue on. Now I'm going against the grain now, but it doesn't matter. I will clean that up. I'm just getting the shape done. So that's decent enough. So the surface is, as you can see, that can be sanded without any issues. Now, at the later stage, towards the end, I have to remove the tenon here, so I'm going to re-chuck this again, holding it from the inside with one of these chucks that I have here to remove the tenon and complete the curve entirely. But for now, this is okay, and all I have to do is crisp up the corner, and again, I like to use a spindle gouge for that. So just straight in the corner and step away. So I have a nice sharp corner. Actually, I don't. Now I have it. So nice sharp corner where the jaws will sit it, and it should make it nice and true.
What's the olive ash like in terms of hardness compared to ordinary ash? We don't get much. Similar stuff. I don't think there is a much difference, at least not noticeable difference. I really like ash. Ash is one of my favorite timbers. It just works beautifully, and when you have a timber like that, of course, you try to make your life easy when you have to make, I don't know, 10 bowls at a time, you know, or something like that. Then you make your life a bit easier with the timber that works nicely. So now I can remove the chuck. Like so. And bring in the woodwork. Always clean at the bottom. So whenever you put this on a table or on the lathe, sometimes it can pick up the shaving and